Okay, so let me walk you guys through the compensation structure here very quickly. It'll be very quick, and hopefully by the end of this, you guys will get very, very excited when you realize the what this implies. Okay, what this means for your marketing, what this means for the project as a whole. So first of all, the entire compensation plan can be summed up in a very, very simple statement, which is um, single tier, 10%. That's the entire compensation plan as far as the traditional referral, affiliate, or MLM structures is concerned. Okay, this is a beautiful thing for us because it means it's very clean. Nobody goes, oh, it's an MLM, I don't want to be a part of this. So if I refer Joe, Joe purchases $1,000 worth of tokens, I'm going to get $100 commission. Okay, very straightforward. That's the end of the commission portion. There is a second component to how the company rewards everybody, which is through the social impact rewards. Okay, the social impact rewards tracks what is happening on your 6 degrees of separation. I think everybody has heard the saying that it's in 6 degrees of separation, we can basically cover the entire world. Everybody is separated from each other through that level. So the first degree of separation, if I refer Joe, then whoever Joe refers represents my first degree of separation. Okay, so in a traditional MLM concept, think of it at level 2 is basically my first degree of separation. That's all it means. So I have my personal level up here on which I'm getting paid directly 10% of their purchases. That's all that's happening. But after that, on all these levels, and this is exactly how it will be shown in our back offices, it tracks on your first, second, third through sixth degrees of separation or levels, what is the actual impact of the staking that is happening. So right here, you can see these 3 bars. Now, these 3 bars in a very gamified sense are constantly moving up. So every time there is more SOAX staked, you will see this move up. And what it is actually tracking is the impact being generated by the SOX that is being staked and the specific oil wells it is being staked on. What is the actual impact of it? So the first bar here represents the carbon emissions being offset. So as SOX is staked on specific oil wells, we are now removing the old technology. We are putting new pumps in. We have significant savings in terms of efficiency on these oil wells. So it offsets the carbon production. We're actually going to be saving about 265 metric tons of CO2 will be offset on every 30 wells on average. So this it's a pretty substantial thing. So in real time, you're able to log in and see what is the impact of it. Now, every time this bar reaches completion, it gives you a reward in Ethereum. So you will receive, for example, 0.25 Ethereum because on your first degree of separation, you have just offset zero point 0.1 metric tons of carbon. Now, mathematically, it is similar to saying you are receiving a commission because there are people on the first tier who are staking these tokens. But it's not quite as simple, right? Because what's actually happening here is a genuine calculation of what is the actual saving on the carbon offsets, what is the genuine saving on the grid of the energy grid usage. Because you are now using much more solar power, this will start ticking up as more of those oil wells get engaged. And as you create more jobs, you see more of that happening. So you are literally getting rewards from your entire network that you are building in here, but it is happening in a completely different mechanism, which is not a part of an MLM comp plan. It is not happening because people are buying tokens. It is happening because when they stake those tokens on specific oil wells, the nature of those oil wells creates a specific social good. It creates a specific global positive impact. And that is what is being tracked. And this is not like just made up stuff. This calculation and specifically where it's coming from is available to all of you at all times. So now it changes your message. Your message goes from saying, I just made $10,000 because, I referred 20 people. It changes to, I just made $10,000 because I created 4 jobs and offset 18 metric tons of carbon. And that is what you start sharing. That's what you start posting on your, Facebook wall or whatever you have to do. Let me actually show you guys this very quickly. So here is a very simple example of if somebody was to stake 50,000 tokens, which is equal to $5,000. If somebody was staking that and the average price of oil was 55, and that's all they did, they didn't do anything else, then they could expect based on these metrics, based on these variables, you would
And this is
expect.
taking not reinvesting. This is just
Correct. This is
okay.
just them staking and they're pulling out every single time they have any oil available, they sell it, they keep their value. So they end up taking their $5,000 value and they turn it into a $23,000 value over time, okay, over the 10 years that they're staking. But if instead they were to take, let's say, 50% of their oil revenue and turn that into more staking. Now, remember, their last staking, which they do in year 10, will last all the way to year 20. Then over the 20 years, they generate $240,000 in value, right? If instead they were staking 75%, then it turns into a 700,000. This is just basic compounding. It makes a lot of sense on how that works. But what you have to keep in mind is every time this restaking is happening, every time they are rebuying or they're purchasing new tokens, it is also increasing the total impact at multiple levels. It is also creating a commission for the person above them. And it's also moving upwards as well. So even if you were no longer building and bringing new people in at these different levels, because of this impact, it is still going to keep ticking up. It is still going to keep increasing over time. So it's a very, very powerful way to reward people. I think it's going to outpay in terms of total payouts that will go out. It's going to outpay pretty much any comp plan out there. So the first goal is to have 10 million participants in the Solar Oil project. And that actually really important point that I want to highlight there. I think a good question everybody should be asking is there enough market size to support this, right? What happens if this really does go viral, truly goes viral, and people start coming in, putting in a lot of money? How do we make sure that there is enough market out there to support this, to be able to produce this kind of revenue over time? So I just want to show you guys very, very quickly what the market looks like. So I have just gone to Wikipedia and typed in stripper wells, which is the name of the kind of oil wells that we target, which are marginal wells. And you can see right here that there are current production. This is outdated, actually. It's now over 1 million. But currently, stripper wells produce, according to this, 915,000 barrels of oil per day. Okay. So let's just do very, very quick math. If we're doing 915,000 barrels of oil per day, and we're doing that for 20 years, and we're looking at the average value of oil being around $50, okay? That right there is $334 billion. And that's the outdated lower production. And this does not include us taking over the oil wells that are currently not producing, the underproducing ones, the abandoned ones, and so on. So the market size is absolutely astronomical. There's zero risk of us running out of oil wells to do this with. And if we ever feel like we are running out of oil wells that the project can work on, then we simply stop taking more SOAX in. We simply stop the sales of new SOAX. Okay. But we don't, I mean, in a very real sense, that's not really an issue. That's not something we're expecting. Okay. Having said that, there are multiple other energy and especially green energy based initiatives that we are also working on that over time will be added into Solar Oil project, depending on how well the project does as a whole. Our goal is 10 million participants. Once we have 10 million participants in Solar Oil project, maybe even before that, we will also be able to start bringing in additional projects that work with, for example, thermal energy and ocean cleanup and things like that. There's quite a few different things floating out there that we are considering. But this is not going to go away. That's the bottom line. The bottom line is just the oil wells alone represent 20 to 30 years of lifespan for this project. And after that, it can keep pivoting and keep growing over time. Here's one right here. Millions of abandoned oil wells leaking methane. This is on Reuters. And here's another one. Orphaned and abandoned oil wells. You can read about it on Wikipedia if you would like. But you can go through quite a bit of detail on this. Everything that is going on, all the different methods that are currently being tried. We are using the methods that we are aware of. There are other people who are also doing different things to deal with the same problem. We are definitely not the only ones. And that's one of the good things, right? That you don't want to be a part of something that's purely experimental. This is not experimental. all the technology is pre-existing, well-studied, well understood. The wells that we work with are well understood, and so on. So it's basically an idea that has been around for a while, but now the time has come for it to be implemented in a big way. That's really all it is. It's an idea whose time has come. That's basically all it is.